Some people in the 1950s bought flashy, expensive cars just to impress their neighbors. But other people just wanted a cheap, reliable ride like the Studebaker Scotsman. The Scotsman is legendary for being the cheapest, plainest, most stripped-down full-size American car ever. Why was it built? And what's it like? The built-to-a-price Studebaker Scotsman was the barest of bare-bones economy cars, the plainest of the plain Janes, the cheapest of the cheap rides, a car named for the outdated stereotype that Scots are penny-pinching cheapskates. Let's dive right into this fascinating story. In 1957, Studebaker-Packard Corporation was drowning in red ink. Sales were trending downward for the second year in a row. Management looked at the rising sales of stripped-down imported cars and wondered if there was a demand for a low-price, no-frills car that could be brought to market quickly and with virtually no budget. The goal was to offer the cheapest full-size car on the market. At the time, Studebaker's lowest price model was the Champion two-door sedan at $2,001. The cheapest models from other low-price American brands were around the same price. Studebaker wanted their new budget car to sell for under $1,800. How could they shave $200 off the price of an already stripped-down car and still turn a profit? It wasn't an easy task, because Studebaker's cost per unit overhead was significantly higher than any of the big three car makers. Here's how they did it. Obviously, a number of standard Champion features had to be either deleted or downgraded. Most noticeably, all chromed brightwork was removed except for the bumpers, door handles, and the hood emblem. That means that the grille, hubcaps, and taillight surrounds were all painted. The windshield and backlight were sealed to the body with simple rubber gaskets. By the way, good photos of completely stock Scotsmen are scarce. Most that have survived until today have been modified in some way, so I have to live with what photos I could find. The visual differences between the 1957 and 58 Scotsman are minor, so I'll be using the best photos I have from either year as I illustrate my points. In the interior, rear windows in the two-door sedan didn't open. On the floor, there were rubber mats instead of carpeting. Plasticized cardboard for the door panels. No armrests, no cigarette lighter, no interior lights, no lining in the trunk, just bare metal. There was no divider between the trunk and the passenger compartment, so the back of the rear seat cushion was exposed in the trunk. Minimal instrumentation, just speedometer, temperature, and fuel gauges, plus 2 warning lights. No radio. There was only one sun visor. No sound deadening insulation. The hood wasn't counterbalanced and had to be held up with a prop rod. Oops, sorry. I guess that was actually true of all 1957 Studebakers. Some basic Champion features were still standard, including chrome bumpers. Some sources claim that painted bumpers were offered as a delete option, but I think it's really a myth. If you have more info, please drop it in a comment. The Scotsman pickup, introduced in 1958, did have painted bumpers, and maybe this is where the confusion started. The pickup deserves its own story, but that's for another day. A heater defroster was standard, but it was the basic recirculating type used in Studebaker trucks. There was a valve under the hood you manually opened in the winter so that hot coolant would flow into the heater core. Turn signals were also included on all Scotsmen. The Scotsman engine, same as the Champions, was the venerable L-Head Sweepstake 6 at 185 cubic inches and 101 horsepower. That motor's origins date back to 1939. The transmission was a 3-speed manual with column shift. Scotsman had a 3.54 rear axle ratio, taller than the Champion 3-speed. That hurt the already glacial acceleration, but improved fuel economy. At launch, only 3 colors were available: Highland Gray, Lombard Green, and Admiral Blue. After all this tinkering, the budget-friendly Scotsman was ready to be introduced as the new base model of the Studebaker Champion lineup. They finally had a basic car that could sell for around $200 less than the cheapest full-size model from Ford, Chevrolet, or Plymouth. 3 body styles were offered. The cheapest version was the two-door sedan, at the bargain basement and patriotic price of $1,776, roughly $20,000 in 2026 dollars. The four-door sedan sold for $1,826, and the two-door wagon was priced at $1,995. Not only was the Scotsman the cheapest full-size car you could buy in 1957, it was only slightly more expensive than some much smaller economy imports. Few factory options were offered, but they included overdrive, electric windshield wipers, passenger sun visor, wet-type air cleaner, and armrests. Some trim pieces were also available, including chrome moldings, chrome headlight surrounds, and chrome hubcaps, but not many were delivered with these dress-up accessories. You couldn't order a radio from the factory, but it was available as a dealer-installed option. The May 27, 1957 edition of the Hometown South Bend Tribune announced the introduction of the Scotsman to the public. The quality of this microfilm scan isn't the best, but you can see that Studebaker played up the thrifty Scot angle in a big way by having a local piper provide a traditional bagpipe welcome at the car's unveiling. Thanks to Studebaker's publicity department, Scotsman fever spread throughout the country. Here's the article in the Victoria, Texas Advocate, including a plug for the local Studebaker dealer. I'm sure that plug wasn't connected to the dealer buying a large ad on the same page. Note the regional differences in pricing. At this Texas dealer, prices started at $1,895 for the two-door sedan as opposed to $1,776 FOB South Bend. The Scotsman was far more popular than Studebaker's most optimistic expectations. Even former First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt bought one. This article from the July 24, 1957 edition of the Evansville Press reveals three important facts. 1. The Scotsman was sold out for the 1957 model year. No new dealer orders were being accepted. 2. Scotsman production had ramped up to nearly double the original projection. 3. Studebaker-Packard overall had a 20% increase in sales in May, the first full month after the Scotsman was announced. The 1958 Scotsman debuted in October 1957, along with the rest of Studebaker's lineup. To keep costs down, the 58s didn't see many changes. The grille and taillights were slightly updated. 4 exterior colors were offered for 58: parchment white, midnight black, lock blue, and Glen green. The 259 cubic inch V8 engine became available as an extra cost option. Advertisements and brochures now refer to the Studebaker Scotsman rather than Studebaker Champion Scotsman, an unofficial promotion from a sub-series to a model line. In a push to increase fleet sales, Studebaker also offered the Oconomoiler four-door sedan in 1958, targeted at the taxicab market. The Oconomoiler used the Scotsman's frugal exterior and interior elements, but with the longer 120.5-inch wheelbase of the President. In addition, Studebaker's police package cars in 1958 were called Marshalls, basically a Scotsman with upgraded suspension and brakes, plus a 289 cubic inch V8 engine. Or, if you were a fleet buyer during the recession of 1958 and the Scotsman wagon was too spendy, how about a utility sedan with a package shelf instead of a back seat? I had a really fun time poring over old small-town newspapers to find space filler articles to fill in gaps in my Scotsman knowledge base. In the March 27, 1958 edition of New Jersey's Verona Cedar Grove Times, right below Troop 7 to sell rose bushes is automatic transmission on Studebaker Scotsman, announcing that Flight-O-Matic automatic transmission was now available as an option, as well as refreshed interiors for the sedans. In addition, 3 more exterior paint colors were added: surf green, cliff gray, and parade red. These were probably the final changes of the Scotsman's run. In the spring of 1958, Studebaker held a promotion called Mile-A-Thon, in which 2 coast-to-coast caravans competed to see who could achieve the highest MPG in Studebaker Scotsman two-door sedans and half-ton pickups. If you visited your local dealer, you could enter a contest to win 2 Scotsmen, one for you and one for your favorite charity. A limited-time custom color, Mile-A-Thon Yellow, was only available during the contest. The coast-to-coast caravan with the most feather-footed drivers achieved an average 33.956 mpg with their overdrive-equipped sedan on their cross-country trip, claiming a new fuel economy record for a full-size car. But I'm pretty sure most owners didn't get 30-plus mpg in daily driving. 100 pounds lighter and with taller gearing compared to the Champion, the Scotsman did get really good gas mileage for a car of its size. But in the real world, most drivers got 20 mpg tops, which is still pretty good considering many cars of the day averaged only 10 to 12 mpg. Of course, automotive journalists test drove the Scotsman. Let's take a brief look at Mel Martin's road test from the April 7, 1958 edition of the Houston Post. Concerning fuel mileage, Mel only achieved a combination city and highway tank average of 18.1 mpg, but noted that mileage improved as car logged more break-in time on still new engine. Mel found the Scotsman underpowered for safe passing at turnpike speeds, but adequate under moderate conditions. During acceleration tests, 0 to 60 took 19.4 seconds, painfully slow even by 1950 standards. But nobody bought a Scotsman for street racing, although this lightweight car would have been quite a sleeper if you could have ordered it equipped with the Golden Hawk supercharged engine. To summarize this review, the Scotsman was a dependable and reasonably comfortable car that could be driven hard without squeaks or rattles and could be expected to roll up thousands of miles with little maintenance. Mel summed it up nicely in the last sentence. If it's good, basic transportation you're looking for, you should have a closer look at the Scotsman. While 1958 was yet another disappointing sales year for Studebaker-Packard, it would have been a lot worse without the Scotsman, which claimed nearly 50% of all Studebaker passenger car production for the model year, over 22,000 units. The economy-minded Scotsman really teed up its replacement. While the base model 1959 Studebaker Lark was not quite as cheap or quite as stripped as the Scotsman, it carried on the economy tradition in a new, smaller size. The introduction of the compact Lark beat Detroit by a full year, and the Lark's brisk sales saved the company, if only temporarily. While it can't be credited with single-handedly saving the company, the Scotsman did move more than 30,000 units over 2 model years. And the Scotsman's success gave company president Harold Churchill the confidence to move ahead with the 1959 conversion of Studebaker's full-size cars into a lineup of economy-minded compacts. This video was a labor of love, as well as a gift to all you loyal viewers who let me know they were disappointed that I didn't cover the Scotsman in my recent Cheap Cars of the 1950s video. I told you I read all the comments, and you're right. It absolutely should have been included. The Scotsman finally got its own video, and I hope you enjoyed it. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. For even more Hubcap Club, follow my daily posts on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads. Until next time, for Hubcap Club, I'm Rob.